Good morning. Before the world wakes up, before the sun fully rises, before fear leaves the hearts of men, there was one morning, a morning history would never forget. A morning when darkness thought it had won. A morning when hopelessness covered the earth like fog. A morning when men locked their doors in fear. A morning when hearts were broken, dreams were buried, and faith was hanging by a thread. But then, footsteps were heard. Not the footsteps of soldiers. Not the footsteps of kings. Not the footsteps of death. These were the footsteps of Jesus Christ. And when he walks into a storm, storms bow down. This is the story of the morning Jesus changed everything. Jerusalem was quiet. Too quiet. The streets that once shouted his name were empty. The people who once cried, "Hosanna," now whispered in fear. The disciples were hidden behind locked doors. 3 days earlier, they watched him die. They saw nails pierce his hands. They heard the mocking laughter of the crowd. They watched the sky turn dark in the middle of the day. And then they heard those final words. "It is finished." To them, it sounded like defeat. Their leader was gone. Their hope was buried behind a stone. Their future was lost in a tomb. But heaven knew something earth did not. It was not finished. It had only begun. As the first light touched the city, 3 women walked silently through the cold morning air. Mary Magdalene. Mary the mother of James. Salome. Their hearts were heavy. They carried spices to anoint the body of Jesus. One final act of love. One final goodbye. But there was a problem. A massive stone blocked the tomb. Roman guards stood watch. No one could move that stone. Still, they kept walking. Sometimes faith means walking toward impossible situations, even when you don't know how the stone will move. As they neared the tomb, the ground began to shake. The earth trembled. Birds flew into the sky. Dust rose from the ground. The guards froze in terror. Then, an angel descended like lightning. His appearance was brilliant. His clothing white as snow. He rolled the stone away as if it weighed nothing. The soldiers collapsed like dead men. And the tomb was open. The women stood trembling. Fear gripped them. Questions filled their minds. Then the angel spoke. "Do not be afraid." Those words echo through history. Do not be afraid. You seek Jesus who was crucified. He is not here. He has risen. Imagine that moment. The place of death had become the birthplace of hope. The grave that was meant to silence him became proof of his power. The women rushed inside. The burial cloths were folded. The body was gone. No blood. No chaos. No sign of theft. Only silence, and victory. Death had lost its prisoner. The others ran to tell the disciples. But Mary stayed behind. She stood outside the tomb, weeping. Some tears come from pain. Some tears come from confusion. Some tears come because the heart cannot carry anymore. Mary looked into the tomb again and saw 2 angels sitting where Jesus had been laid. They asked, "Woman, why are you crying?" She answered, "They have taken my Lord, and I don't know where they put him." Then she turned, and saw a man standing there. She thought he was the gardener. He asked, "Why are you crying? Whom are you seeking?" Mary said, "Sir, if you carried him away, tell me where you placed him." Then he spoke one word. "Mary." That voice. The voice that cast out demons from her life. The voice that healed broken hearts. The voice that calmed storms. She knew instantly. Rabboni. Teacher. Jesus was alive. Sometimes all it takes is one word from God, and your entire world changes. Meanwhile, the disciples were hiding. Doors locked. Windows shut. Whispers only. Fear controlled the room. Would they be arrested next? Would Rome come for them? Was everything over? Then suddenly, without opening the door, without footsteps, without warning, Jesus stood among them. Imagine the shock. 1 second fear. Next second, the risen Christ in the room. He said, "Peace be with you." Not anger. Not disappointment. Not condemnation. Peace. Then he showed them his hands. The scars remained, but the pain was gone. Your scars may remain too, but God can remove the pain. The room that was filled with fear became filled with joy. Because when Jesus enters a room, fear has to leave. But one disciple was missing. Thomas. When the others told him Jesus was alive, he refused to believe. "Unless I see the nail marks, unless I touch his wounds, I will not believe." A week later, the disciples gathered again. Doors locked once more. And once again, Jesus appeared. He walked straight to Thomas. He knew every doubt, every question, every wall in Thomas's heart. Then Jesus said, "Put your finger here. See my hands. Stop doubting, and believe." Thomas fell to his knees. "My Lord and my God." Jesus did not reject the doubter. He revealed himself to the doubter. If you have questions today, bring them to him. Days later, Peter returned to fishing. Maybe he thought he had failed too badly. Maybe denial still haunted him. Maybe shame followed every step. All night they fished, and caught nothing. At sunrise, a man stood on the shore. He shouted, "Friends, have you caught anything?" "No," they answered. "Throw the net on the right side." They obeyed. Suddenly, the net filled with fish. John whispered, "It is the Lord." Peter jumped into the water and swam to shore. Why? Because failure runs fast from grace, but grace runs faster. On the beach, Jesus had breakfast waiting. Bread. Fish. Fire. The same kind of fire Peter stood beside when he denied Jesus. Now Jesus would restore him beside another fire. Jesus asked Peter, "Do you love me?" 3 times he asked. 3 times Peter answered. 3 denials, 3 restorations. Jesus was not humiliating Peter. He was healing Peter. Then he said, "Feed my sheep." The man who failed publicly would soon preach boldly. Your worst moment does not cancel God's purpose for your life. Why does this morning matter today? Because every human heart knows darkness. Fear. Depression. Loss. Regret. Loneliness. Questions in the night. But resurrection morning declares something powerful. Darkness does not last forever. Stones can move. Graves can open. Tears can turn to joy. Failures can be restored. Dead dreams can live again. This is not just history. It is hope. Imagine Jesus walking into your morning right now. Into your stress. Into your bills. Into your anxiety. Into your broken relationship. Into your hidden pain. He would say the same words. "Peace be with you." He still calms storms. He still heals hearts. He still calls names with love. He still moves stones no one else can move. And he still brings life where people only expect endings. One day, another morning is coming. The Bible says he will return again. Not as a suffering servant. Not carrying a cross. But in glory. In power. As King of Kings. And every eye will see him. The question is not whether he is coming. The question is, will you be ready? So this morning, wherever you are, if your heart feels buried, if your faith feels weak, if your hope feels gone, remember the tomb. It was empty then. And it is empty now. Because Jesus Christ is alive. Good morning, and may the peace of Jesus walk into every storm in your life today. If this message touched your heart, like this video, subscribe, and comment, He is risen. Share this with someone who needs hope this morning.